They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but what about a glimpse into the mind of a troubled child who, on the surface, appears just to be like the other kids? Let's see how a father's one mistake turns his child into a criminal and what that mistake is. Get ready to explore the haunting question: what does a psycho child look like? In the summer of June 2013, in Osceola, Florida, a group of teenage friends embarked on a chilling rampage that will later be known as the 2 Weeks from Hell. The story revolves around a 15-year-old boy named Konrad Schafer, who received a .45 caliber rifle as a gift from his father, Lothar Schafer. Yes, this is the worst mistake I'm talking about. I mean a rifle to a child. Why? Alongside his friends, Juan Muriel, Victoria Rios, and David Damas, Konrad stole his father's car while he slept, which later turned into the horrific action of taking the life of two. One of their victims was 17-year-old David Guerrero, innocently waiting for a bus to work at 6 a.m. on June 26th. Talking about another victim, just a week later on July 3rd, Victoria was texting Eric Ropnering, looking to meet up and be paid for intimate favors. Eric, who had recently received a large payout from a car accident, had showed Victoria pictures of $2,000. Clueless Victoria, this night would end in tragedy, and Eric losing his life to a bullet and sharp object wounds. After these horrifying events unfolded, Konrad found himself in the custody of the Kissimmee Police Department. Let's see what's his role in these killings. The interrogation started with two detectives. Playing smart, they try to make Konrad's actions seem less serious by saying that 15-year-olds often make mistakes. They wanted to understand his thoughts and why he did what he did. Here jumps Konrad's lawyer, who argued that his age should mean less severe punishment, but the detectives kept asking for the truth. They said that shooting houses wasn't uncommon, but they wanted Konrad to know it's not the right way to live at his age.
We're 15 years old men are supposed to make mistakes. You have to understand that. Okay? That's why they call you juveniles. Okay? Because you're expected to make mistakes. None of this is out of the ordinary.
In the interrogation room, the detective tried to ease his fears, encouraging him to tell the truth, but his face would reveal his relentlessness. He assured him that his feelings and hesitations were understood, but stressed the importance of providing information.
Not necessarily, Conrad. Nobody's told you that. Nobody's told you that. That's not true, Conrad. Conrad, that's not true. Look at me, dude. That's not true. I can't lie to you. That's not true.
Konrad was urged to open up and share what happened, as the detective couldn't work with silence. They discussed the first question about the first house Konrad shot at, and the detective pressed for more information on subsequent incidents.
Let's do this, Konrad. Let's do this. Do me a favor, okay? Okay? Take me to the first time you shot that gun. I answered your question. Now you answer mine. Talk to me about that first time then.
The police department had quite the task on their hands. They created a map, pinning down all the places where they suspected Konrad and his friends were involved. But did you know that sometimes even the police can play hide and seek by saying he wouldn't get a long jail sentence at 15? Then, they sought information about the second house. Well aware that it wasn't the first time, now the detective questioned his involvement in the shootings, seeking to determine his level of participation. Although he admitted to some involvement, he remained escaping about the details and the others who might have been involved. And as we know the detective's mind, they dropped a bombshell. They told him that his gun was used in a shooting. Seriously? This evidence spoke volumes, leaving no room for doubt. They wanted the truth to potentially change things. By hearing this, Konrad faced little tension and started to act weirdly. In this perplexing conversation, one detective starts to lose his temper, and Konrad finds himself cornered by the detectives. They insist that he knows more than he's letting on about the gun and the tragic events surrounding it. But Konrad tries to deflect the blame, claiming innocence. He actually tries to distance himself from the truth, but the detectives won't let him off the hook. They press on, determined to uncover the reality behind the gun and the unfortunate loss of a young life. You see, when it comes to gun ownership, one must remember that they're responsible for their own weapon, right? But he claims the gun was taken away from him by Juan, David, and his dad for 3 whole days. Who knows where that gun ended up? But let's be real here. Shooting houses and nothing else? What does that look like? After the intense interrogation, but not getting any results, guess who's entering the room? It's Konrad's father, Lothar, accompanied by a sign language translator. No doubt detectives are onto something. Let me tell you, Lothar is deaf, and the police have a cunning plan. They hope to use his father as a way to extract a confession. Another strategy.
Good. Gotta be honest. I'm sorry for everything. Oh, boy.
said he stole the bullets from his house.
Well, he hesitates, but eventually he mentions Lauren. Small lead in the interrogation. But his father urges him to speak clearly, to say the name. But Konrad denies it wasn't him, and insists that he doesn't want to incriminate himself any further. Leaving no option, they warn him of the gravity of his words and the additional charges he may face. As the interrogation continues, they remind him of the previous conversations, but it seems his memory is failing him. What's next? Obviously, they need to find another way or change the strategy soon, because Konrad has earned his name as a psycho child. The detective then moves closer, employing a technique called procurement and retention of suspect's attention. Yes, reducing the physical distance in his clever plan to keep Konrad focused. Will it work?
So y'all gonna have to have me testify or something?
No. Testify or what? Testify or what? Konrad.
Against the person that did this.
Konrad.
And I'm gonna get like killed or something.
Konrad.
For snitching on the guy that did this.
Konrad, talk to me about what happened.
Following the trick, the interrogation slowly became intense and urged Konrad to open up and reveal what he knew. All of a sudden, he mentioned that Nelson and David were in the car and had a gun. Sure, their technique is working. As the detective probed further, asking about the origins of the car and their motives for going out that day. He claims that Nelson and David took the car and returned with a shocking story of shooting someone and laughing about it. How on earth did they think that it was funny to shoot someone? Then by shifting to the next question, the detectives wanted to know if Konrad discussed shooting houses with Victoria, and it found that David Nelson also had a chat with Victoria about shooting that kid. One thing leads to another, the dots start connecting. Maybe Konrad was lying, but at least he started to spill the beans. The interrogation continues with Detective Alex, new one in the room, joining the conversation. But let me tell you, things are about to get serious because he isn't here for small talk. Detective Alex reveals his secret weapon, knowledge. Yeah, you heard it right. He knows more than Konrad even knows himself. And just when Konrad thought he could evade the truth, the detective drops another bombshell. He said he had spoken to David, Victoria, and Ariana, and their versions didn't match with his tale. Now, what will Konrad's next move be? He tried to ease his anxiety by asking questions, but the detectives insisted on hearing his side. Can you see his audacity? They asked about a serious event in Ponciana involving David and Victoria, focusing on a shooting and the victim, Eric. Details about the car, location, and individual roles were revealed.
You're trying to interview me. You're trying to fix your information. It's about you telling me what's going on. Because here's the deal, Konrad, okay? I know you were involved in something pretty serious in Ponciana.
As the interrogation continued, a motive started to emerge. Finally, the truth starts revealing as the detectives press for details. He also revealed that Eric owed them money, and Victoria was supposed to retrieve it from him. The plan took a dark turn as they intended to rob Eric, thinking it would be an easy task. Unfortunately, David shot Eric in the face.
What money did Eric owe anybody?
They didn't say he owed him. I guess he was a.
The detectives probed further, asking about Victoria's actions inside the house. He explained that she came back outside while he and David were still inside. They all fled the scene together, throwing stolen items into Konrad's car, including a TV, PS3, Xbox, and more. But the detectives sensed there was more to the story, urging him to remember any additional details. What else did they take? Reluctantly, he admitted they also took cash, Eric's phone, and other belongings. But why were there no fingerprints on the gun? Then, gloves became the focal point, those sneaky accessories used to hide evidence. It was found that David and Victoria wore gloves while loading their car with guns and other items. Literally, even in crimes, kids are smarter than adults. But Konrad denied when he was asked for his involvement in the stabbing. Though Konrad didn't fully confess during the interrogation, he eventually accepted a plea deal. This deal granted him 2 life sentences while dropping other charges. Remarkably, he may be eligible for parole after serving 15 to 25 years. In contrast, Konrad's father, Lothar, also served 4 months in jail for providing the weapon. During a retrial, Victoria Rios was found guilty by a jury and received a 30-year sentence. David Damas, another participant in the crime, was sentenced to life in prison. Lastly, Juan Muriel struck a plea deal, resulting in a 10-year prison sentence. In exchange, he agreed to testify against the other suspects.